And how are Americans beating the high gas prices? Well, some people are, and they're telling us how. Find out ahead in Stick It to the Man.
There you go.
Plus, we will talk with people who are sticking it to the man, including a business owner with a cool way to stock up on gas.
If you like to call it, it's your personal strategic petroleum reserve.
Plus, we've been asking people across the country how they are sticking it to the man. We will speak to some real folks who might help you beat the pain at the pump. They have some ideas. But for the past couple of weeks, we've been asking you to email us to tell us how you're beating high gas prices.
In other words, how are you sticking it to the man? Many of you have emailed us, and this morning we're going to share a couple of those stories, from trading in a gas guzzler for a bike to a pretty cool way to stockpile gas in a locked-in price. We have examples of how two guys are sticking it to the man.
We can't say that enough around here. Scott Morrison in Northern California got so fed up with the high cost of gas, he decided to ditch his car for a little pedal power. Scott emailed us saying he now rides 12 miles to work every day on a bicycle. Here's how Scott is sticking it to the man in his own words.
The day I decided I was going to try bike commuting was my wife and I have been talking about. She was telling me, you haven't been going to the health club. Why do we have a health club membership? I can't find the time, I was telling her. And then I went to fill up the truck, put $50 worth of gas in the truck, and it wasn't full. I said, no more. I'm giving my money away by driving that truck. I finally got so fed up with the price of gas, I decided that I had to find another way to get to work. Mass transit really wasn't a workable option for me, so I decided to start riding my bike. I feel bad for the people that are having to use the same amount of gas and aren't reducing their usage and aren't trying to combine their trips or looking for other options like carpooling or whatever. They're just not getting it. The gas prices aren't going to come back down. I figure with the money I'm saving from not having to register the truck, we're getting rid of the truck, not having insurance on the truck, not having to put gas, maintain the vehicle anymore, buy tires, will pay for this bike by itself. And that was figuring it $2.89 a gallon. It's up over $3 a gallon. It's going to pay for part of my vacation this year. I feel like I'm sticking it to the man. I'm not giving all that money to the oil companies like I used to.
Go, Scott, go. Scott Morrison, who's using his feet and legs to beat high gas prices in his own words. How about that?
Rod Sr.'s idea for sticking it to the man is one that could have you laughing all the way to the bank. His idea would let you pay for future gas now, locking you in at the rate no matter how high those prices may go. Joel Conable from our affiliate WTVJ in Miami shows us an idea that's already working in some parts of this country.
Larry Barron has a smile on his face because he's filling his gas tank for...
Bought it for 98 cents a gallon.
98 cents. How in the world can people drive off with so much gas for so little money?
You prepay it all up front, but you don't have that monthly or that change in your gas prices all the time.
Jim Finese owns one of the only fuel banks in the country. It's a lot like a regular old bank, but here you make a deposit of money that gives you a credit of fuel.
Once they've made that deposit into their account, we have virtually converted their dollars into gallons.
The fuel bank lets you buy gas at that day's price and then use it at any time, today or in the future when gas prices go up.
If you like to call it, it's your personal strategic petroleum reserve.
Rod Sr.'s company is based in Fort Myers, and he wants to bring fuel banks to Florida and to other parts of the country as well.
What Fuel Bank does is allow you to control the future price that you pay by getting on the web, locking in the price that you want to pay for next 12 months, and therefore controlling what you're going to be paying at the pump.
Fuel Bank would let you buy the gas on the internet.
It's a gift card with a twist.
When you go to the gas station, you would use a fuel debit card of sorts that would keep track of how much fuel you use.
Call it a gallon card, where people will be able to debit there, go to the gas station, go to the pay at the pump or the kiosk and draw down the reserves that they have on the internet.
It's an idea that could have us all smiling at the gas pumps, just like Larry Barron.
And I put in 8.5 gallons. It cost me $8.41. So that's where I buy gas.
People who are happy to show their receipt and laughing all the way to the fuel bank.
Wow. And joining us now to explain exactly how the fuel bank works is Rod Sr., the owner of fuelbank.com. I want to know, first off, out of the blocks, how long ago did that gentleman buy his gas from your service to get it at 98 cents a gallon?
I'd like to put the record straight, Randy. That was a small company who was showing up in Minneapolis. That wasn't one of our customers. However, we are in a position to launch a national program to help businesses and consumers across America with the idea of establishing a personal fuel reserve on the internet.
How does it work? You know, I saw a name there, you can see it, Chevron on that card, because you point out this is a different company, but how do they know, can they go anywhere once they've made this pre-purchase plan? Can they go to any gas station and it automatically gets applied at that price to their bill?
The idea of Fuel Bank here, Randy, is that we are trying to get to the real heart of the matter, which is to avoid the pain at the pump. And that pain at the pump is because people really don't have any control over what they're paying out there. What Fuel Bank is doing is allowing people to get on the internet, check on the internet price posted at fuelbank.com, purchase any grade of gasoline or diesel for a 12-month period, and redeem at any station within the oil company network who is franchising Fuel Bank.
And Rod, what is
if it's a national oil company?
What is the price today, Rod, if somebody wanted to sign up?
Typically that would be 5 to 10 cents below the street price. The average street price in the United States today is $2.92. So you'd be looking around $2.82 to $2.87.
We just heard from Exxon's CEO a short time ago in our show here. What did you do to get companies to come on board to this? What's in it for them, if anything?
I think it was interesting to listen to Mr. Tillerson's opening remark, and I commend him for coming on the show and addressing the public. He does recognize that the oil companies have a public relations problem. However, he went on to explain how complicated the oil industry is and how many billions have been invested in crude oil exploration and refineries, underground tanks and pipelines. The problem is that the general public doesn't see any of that. The face of the oil company is the gas station. And Exxon do have a good record of building some extremely good gas stations and some innovative devices like Speed Pass. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem here that I think Exxon and their competition have is that they have not spent enough time at the consumer interface, dealing with the heart of the matter, which is the effective price that people are paying at the pump. No matter how many discounts and points and frequent flyer programs you launch, it's just relieving the pain, it's not curing it.
All right, Rod Sr., creator of FuelBank, creator of fuelbank.com. Stay right there, Rod. We're going to talk more about this coming up. All right, now you've heard of two people and how they're sticking it to the man. Now, coming up next, we're going to hear from the man.
We've been talking about him. We had a little excerpt. ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson sits down for an exclusive interview with the Today Show. We will hear how he is defending his company and an industry under fire.
And the two people you just met will be listening to him. Scott Morrison and Rod Sr. will tell us if they like what they've heard.
And you can still tell us how you are sticking it to the man. Share your stories by emailing us at stickittotheman@msnbc.com. We want to hear from you.
We've been listening along with two Americans who are sticking it to the man, so to speak. We shared their stories with you before the break. Rod Sr. is the brain behind fuelbank.com. And on the phone is Scott Morrison, who went cold turkey on oil and gas and now gets around via his bike using leg power. I want to start with you, Rod, because I ended with you, and I had to kind of cut you off because we were short on time there. Did you hear Rex Tillerson say anything that would lead you to believe that the oil companies are, in fact, not gouging the consumer?
Mr. Tillerson's remarks, I think, were an effort to turn around the public relations problem that the oil companies obviously have today. Unfortunately, my answer to Mr. Tillerson is I think deeds are far more important than words. It is a complicated industry. It's an industry that has wafer-thin margins at the downstream and huge volumes. And the problem is that the oil industry is not spending enough time and resource in dealing with the consumer at the interface, at the gas station, and coming out with a program that will help the consumer to take more control over the future price that they pay for their fuel. That's the heart of the problem and the pain at the pump.
Scott, let me ask you, because you have taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, as we mentioned before and we saw in that piece. You're going to ride your bike now, you're going to sell the truck, and you're going to save yourself some money. But we also heard Mr. Tillerson say ExxonMobil has a responsibility to its shareholders, and can't or won't turn the profits back over to the general public to lower the price at the pump. Should, as you have done, consumers take responsibility for their own pocketbooks by doing what you are doing, or, as you point out, buying vehicles that maybe get better gas mileage, whatever? With that in mind, do you think the government should step in and help consumers with the burden on consumers or not?
Actually, I think because it is a supply and demand economy, if we reduce our demand, the prices will come down. They won't come down a lot. Oil is a finite resource. There's only so much. If we can reduce our demand, we can make it last longer. If we use less, if we bicycle, if we use mass transit, maybe it'll last long enough that we can find another resource that we can use.
All right, Scott Morrison, who went cold turkey, he's riding his bike there, as we saw in that video, instead of driving the truck. And Rod Sr., the brain behind FuelBank.com, a program where people can lock in the price of a gallon of gas and then use that supply to their own for their own needs throughout the course of time. Gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for telling us your stories and helping us see how you can stick it to the man.
And remember, you can continue to share your stories of how you're sticking it to the man. Send us your stories by emailing us at stickittotheman@msnbc.com.